Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting oil painting video. As promised, today we are using water mixable oil paint. And in particular, we're using the Duo Aqua oil, which is from a Japanese company called Holbein. Now, most of you have known I've talked about water mixable oils for a little while. And I've tried several brands. This is a brand that I just got for this video. And the next couple of videos, I'll be doing the same stuff. Never tried it before, but I have tried several other brands. I tried Cobra, their professional brand. Didn't like them. Tried the Berlin from Jerry's Artorama. Didn't like them. Artisan from Winsor & Newton. Didn't like them. The only one I liked was Daniel Smith water mixable oil paints, and they discontinued doing all oil paints at Daniel Smith, and the only thing they do now is watercolors. So when one of my subscribers asked me to do a water mixable oil video, the last one I'm going to try is these. It's called the Holbein Duo Aqua. Here are the colors. A titanium white, cad yellow light hue. This is just a cad red hue. Phthalo blue, they didn't have French ultramarine, so it's phthalo blue. Instead of Viridian, because it was more expensive, I used phthalo green, Payne's gray, and then I believe this is raw sienna, yes, I believe I got, let me see here. Yep, raw sienna, which looks different than the raw sienna I have in my other one. Now, like I said, it's the first time I've ever used them, squirted them out. One of the things I found out is they are really creamy. I mean, they're like warm butter coming out. So we'll see how it works. I also bought this Duo Aqua oil painting medium that's supposed to help the dry time. They're not supposed to be really bad dry time to begin with. So instead of me talking, let's get some medium on the brush. Let's go with a little bit of Payne's gray and Viridian. Wow, these are really creamy. Let's start painting. Holy cow. These are nice. If they take 4 years to dry, then it's not the paint for me, but this is kind of cool looking. Well, first things first, like I said, they're really creamy. And they are very vivid. Wow, they're really vivid. You know, I tried Holbein watercolors, what seemed like a couple centuries ago. I still dabble in watercolor, and I do watercolor sketching and stuff, which I will do on my Wednesday shows. This is my Sunday normal painting. So I will do those watercolor sketching. And maybe some sketching when it gets nice out, at the Arboretum and the zoo and forest preserves and stuff like that. So I have tried Holbein watercolors before, years ago, and they were always very highly pigmented, very deep colors. So I always enjoyed using them watercolor-wise. But I've never tried their oil paint or their water mixable oil paint. Okay, so let's see what we got here. As usual, I'm just kind of putting stuff down. On things that are different heights and different everything else. I'm going to leave that alone as far as that's going to be my background trees. I'm going to do the sky here in a second. And then I believe my water will come out like this. There we go. And I think I'm going to have my water coming from, let's say, here down. And then this will be some more land. And then the water will probably come, something like that. That's kind of the general idea. Okay, so. Now, one thing I do know about water mixable oils is if you use soft bristled brushes, once you put the water on them, they start to get mushy and they're tough to use. Actually, you can't really use them. They're unusable until they dry. And water evaporates a lot slower than mineral spirits, terpenoid, and all that other stuff. So that's within minutes, and you can reuse the brush and it's solid bristles again. So if you're going to go into water mixables, you want bristle brushes that are a little stiffer. Synthetic brushes are very popular for it. Acrylic brushes, because acrylic is water-based as well. So you can do stuff like that. Okay, let's go with a little bit of phthalo blue. And I'm going to take a little bit of the CAD. Usually CAD reds are real powerful, so I'm not going to take a lot of it, just enough to get it in there and get that nice little, yeah, that's a good color. So you want to make sure your brushes, you also, from the experience, and granted, I'm not an expert with the water mixables, but I have done, I don't know, 15 paintings with various brands. And the other thing is too, even though they're water mixable, don't use the water as the painting medium. Just like when you don't want to use, let's say, terpenoid natural or Gamsol as your medium for oil painting either. You can, but you got to be very careful, because when it's something that actually is used to clean your brushes, that means it dissolves the pigments. So you don't want to take the chance of using it as a medium and putting too much, and then it just dissolves and it doesn't adhere good to your ground. So I always like to use a medium. The mediums are not really expensive. I mean, that little bottle that I showed you is, $6.50 or something at Blick. You can get the bigger bottle for $20 and it'll last you a long time. So you don't have to really worry about it. But the medium, I think, really helps. Okay, so putting just the titanium white now. Same dirty brush. As you know, if you've watched my videos, I don't clean my brushes a lot anyway, so it shouldn't have an issue with the bristles. So I can use my same brushes. I can tell you right now, this buttery consistency does spread well, does mix well. That's my wife's crazy bird, Raphael, which I'm sure you know of by now. When I say crazy, you have no idea. I'm serious. Crazy birdie. Let's see, just get this into here. And then, I'll reestablish this little forest where we're going, as we're going. I don't have much for medium on my brush because I've been wiping off and I haven't really done it again. And the paint is so creamy that it spreads pretty good without it. So you can just tell. And that's the thing. The more you paint, the more you're going to be able to tell if it's a good quality paint just by the way it lays down, the pigment load, the way it mixes, all kinds of stuff. So the more you paint, the more you're going to understand and be able to feel a good paint from a bad paint. And these Holbeins, even though I've never used anything but some of the watercolors, and that was many years ago, it's obvious these water mixable Holbeins are really good paint. So there's no question about that. It's a good professional brand. So my big thing right now is it's obvious it's a good paint. It does have light, fast, and everything else. So my only thing is, because, as you know, I'm a very impatient painter, how long does it take to dry? So we'll see. And I will let you know on our next video on Sunday when I do another water mixable oil painting. And it'll be the Duo Aqua, because that's what I have bought for this. So I'm going to use this paint until it's out, and I'll give you my honest opinions as I go. As of right now, the paint itself is outstanding. There's no question. It's a professional quality paint. It blends well, it goes down well, it's creamy, it's easy to use, so there's no issue. But for me now, the only issue is the drying time. And that we will see. I think in the reviews I saw, depending on the thickness and everything else, it was 2 to 5 days. So we'll see. I'll check it every day. I have a tendency to paint, as you know, a little thicker. And, you know, when you do it thicker, obviously it's going to take a little longer to dry. Excuse me. So we'll go from there. But if this is a reasonable amount of drying time, this might be something I add to my studio. I don't know. The paint itself is good. No question about it. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some clouds in. I've got a bigger sky than normal, so I'm gonna put some clouds in. And then I'll reestablish the tree line. Gotta readjust my light every once in a while. Make sure that doesn't have a glare for you. No, that's good. Don't want you to have a glare. It's okay if I have a glare, I just don't want you to. I'll put a little bit more up here. Then I'm going to wipe my brush. And I still haven't washed it yet. I've got my normal brush washer. This is one I used for my normal oils with Gamsol in it. I had run out of the Bristle Magic that I used, so I had some Gamsol left that I used. So what I did was I just washed it out really good. Soap and water and everything else, got everything out of it, and then let it sit for a few days to make sure everything was gone. And then I just put clean water in it, and that's what I'm going to be using to wash the brushes when it comes time. Okay, now let's put in a little bit of the Payne's Gray. Just so we have a little bit of difference. Actually, I'm just going to put a little bit, not a lot. Just a little bit of red, too. Skies can be anything. Okay. Hope everybody had a really good work week. Found out we're moving my shop next week. We took over and got the keys on Friday. And then Monday we've got, and then Monday and Tuesday we got inspections. Wednesday I have to go in and make sure we got everything set up right for our shop. And then after I'm done Wednesday, if everything is the way it's supposed to be, then we start moving my shop on probably about an hour after there, because it's just down the street, but it's an actual regular shop, so I'm excited. It's gonna be nice. And we do our clouds the same as we always do. Put them all one way. We wipe the brush. Remember, this is just because it's water mixable doesn't mean any different. Nice and light. See the way I'm holding the brush? I'm barely putting any pressure on it. Okay, now I'm gonna wipe the brush. Okay. A few of these things I gotta get out with a fan brush. Other than that, clouds are good. I'm just going to clean up down here. There we go. Now, why am I doing this? I love fiddling. That's why. Just for the sake of looking real and looking correct. Oh yeah, that came out good. What I'm doing, now that you asked, for my clouds, I like it to be, it's the way I observe clouds myself too. It always looks smoother to me on the underside, okay, the shadow side. And then on the top part of them, they kind of just go all over the place and little things like this and whatever. So I try to make the bottoms a little smoother. And that just my preference on how I see clouds. That's kind of my take on what they look like. Okay, so we're going to go with a little bit more medium. And we're going to go back into our phthalo green and Payne's gray. I'm going to reestablish our forest. I'm going to go a little bit darker than I did to begin with. And a little darker is going to help it with depth. It's also going to help it because the sky is so light. Now, one of the things you notice is I'm going up to the clouds. I had that whole big area over there. Here's going to stay a little bit up, but not too much. And basically the reason for that method to the madness is the perspective to look right. Okay, now I want to get these. There we go. And I'm just going to get that the way I like it. Reestablish what will be the water line. There we go. Okay, that top half is done. So I can honestly say to you, just doing this half of the painting right now, I absolutely love these paints. So if drying time is irrelevant to you, if that doesn't matter, this is what you want to be painting with. The medium that I'm using is a water mixable medium, so it's non-toxic. You know, we got the hues and stuff. We don't have any kind of harsh stuff, so we're non-toxic. I've been using these for, how long has this video been going on now? Almost 20 minutes, and I can't smell a thing. So it's something you can use at the kitchen table on a smaller piece, on a little tabletop easel. If drying time is important to you, then we'll hold off our judgment, and we'll see how long it takes to dry. Like I said, every day I'm going to check it out and see what it is. Excuse me. And then on next Sunday's video, when we do another one, I will say, okay, this is how long it took. And then that's going to be satisfactory or not satisfactory. And then remember, on Wednesday this week, which is, what the hell is Wednesday? The 5th of February. Holy cow, 5th of February already. Then we have the second part of our water mixable oil paint sticks from Phoenix. Remember how we did that on Wednesday? Well, we got part 2 on Wednesday. Now, the only thing about them so far that I don't like, because remember, we had a lot of fun with those together. But what I don't like about them is that was after I got home from work on Wednesday when we did it. So I think I finished the video at around 6 o'clock in the evening. So you go from Wednesday to Thursday is one day, Thursday to Friday, Friday to Saturday, so it's 3 days, and it's still wet. So right now, that's the only thing I got against those oil sticks, because it was a lot of fun to use, but it's still wet. Okay. So, some deep colors. Yep. Well, Holbein did not disappoint. The rich, highly pigmented colors I remember from their watercolor are just as prevalent in their oil paint, their water mixable oil paint. These are absolutely beautiful colors. No question about it. Okay. Let's start. What's nice is I can use my same techniques. That's always a plus. You don't have to really change technique. You know, with the paint sticks you do, but that's to be expected. You know, same, yes, it's oil paint, but it's a totally different medium being in stick form like a pastel. So that's to be expected. But, you know, when you're just talking about regular brush with oil paint, whether it breaks down with, you know, mineral spirits or water should be irrelevant. Your style should be similar. There we go. Let's get that shoreline right. A little darker back there. And just scrub it on. You know how much I like thick oil paint. But, if you remember, my water in my sky, I don't like all that thick. I like that a little thinner. My tree line is going to be thicker when I tap in the pines, and this will be thicker. I'm going to spread this out just a little bit. I got a lot of movement in the water here, and I'm going to keep that. And I got different colors. The only thing I'm going to do... Oh, wow. That's looking really nice. Okay, I do love these paints. I don't mean to sound like a broken record. Holbein did not send these to me. Holbein doesn't even know I am alive. So this isn't a biased review at all. I paid the same money you're going to pay if you decide to buy them. I am in love with this paint. Oh, I just pray that they don't take forever to dry. If they're a reasonable drying paint, then I'm in love. Okay, right now I'm using raw sienna and the phthalo green, and that's a really pretty green. You know, look at this, okay? I hope you can see this. See the way the brush strokes are? I mean, there's no medium on brush at all. It's a dry brush medium-wise. And look at just how buttery that is. And these are awesome. Depending on, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but depending on dry time, I like these better than the Daniel Smiths. They go down so easy. You know what I'm gonna do is, this is one of my Blick canvases that I'm using here. What I'm gonna do is next week, next Sunday when we do the Holbeins again, I'm gonna do them on my gesso board, my real nice ampersand gesso board. I'm gonna see how they work on there. And that's my main studio support anyway. So I'm gonna try them on that and see how they go, because on this normal canvas here, they're doing really well. Keep that shoreline normal. Now I'm going to blend into the water like I normally do. So there's going to be some green in the water, which there should be. With all those green trees, you know there's a bunch of it in the water. So I don't want to keep it completely blue, although I do have some nice different values in there, which is good. Okay, so we've got the green all the way up to it. It's a little thick. Now we're going to go like this. And you've seen this a bunch of times. Don't want to know where the water starts and the land begins, and vice versa, until we put the flowers and the reeds and whatever we're going to put along the shoreline. Okay, let's step back and see what we got. Okay, right here, just to get the perspective right. How's that now? Yep, that gradual down one good. Okay, I'm going to leave the water alone other than a few water lines. And then we will start with, actually no, I'm going to wait because I'm usually messy with my pine trees. So I'll put the trees in first my thick trees. And then I will put in the water lines because I always screw up the water lines, excuse me, when I do the trees. So you got to learn from your mistakes. So, just like before, phthalo green and Payne's gray. Actually, it used to be Viridian, but now it's phthalo green. And then we'll go nice and thick. There we go. See, what's nice too about the paint being that creamy is it goes on thick really easily. And that really is a big help when you're doing wet on wet like we're doing here. And don't be confused. There's a lot of people that attribute wet on wet to Bob Ross. And yes, Bob Ross had a career, and a great one, doing his specific wet on wet technique. Okay, he used the magic white, and he had specific techniques for everything. So that's cool. But everybody that does wet on wet does it differently, unless you study the Bob Ross method. So this wet on wet, I don't use magic white, I don't use his brushes, I don't use any technique really that's his. Now, did I watch his videos growing up? Yes. Did I watch those videos as an adult artist? Of course. Did he influence me in painting? Most definitely. His attitude really impressed me. I love his attitude. God rest your soul. God rest his soul. Love Bob Ross. But I don't paint like him. I'm not a big fan of his art. Even though it's good, it's just not mine. I like it. He doesn't paint as thick as I do. And to be completely transparent, I didn't paint this thick until relative recent times anyways, because I was always afraid of it. I was nervous about having too much paint on the brush and having it look like shit and not knowing what I'm doing. And once I got over that and I started going thick with the paint, thank you, Jesus. It just, all my paintings started just looking so much better. And I'm not worried about controlling the paint anymore. I'm kind of letting the paint do its thing. Okay, now I'm just having a lot of stuff here. Okay, so now normally I go with the painting knife to kind of take this and flatten it out a little bit and make it look like the real pine trees. I'm not going to do that for this one. What I'm going to do is I am going to use the fan brush, and I'm going to put the cad yellow light hue on there to get my green. But I want to keep them all real narrow like this. I don't want them spread out. I like the narrow look for this one. And yeah, I like the way you can see all that background trees in there. So that's what I'm going to do. Excuse me. Now, remember I told you we're going to do the trees first because I always would mess up the water lines? Oh, look at right here. Boom, 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 boom. Right into the water. That's where water lines are going to be. So now I'm just going to put those in. And it's okay if that Payne's gray and phthalo green is in the water. It's on the shoreline, so it's going to have a certain amount of it in there anyway. Oh, that looks so nice. I apologize. I know it's a little cheesy for me admiring my own painting. And it's not like, oh my God, I am Thomas Kincaid reborn. No, nothing like that. I'm very impressed with the paint. I haven't been this impressed with the paint in a very long time. And like I said, my only thing is the dry time because I unfortunately can't change my patience level. I'm going to be 59 years old real soon, and my patience level or lack of with certain things is who I am. But if this is reasonable drying time, my alkids are overnight, 36 hours at the worst. If this is double that or less, then I may have found a new paint. But if it takes, 2 weeks to get touch dry, then no. I'm not doing 2 weeks. Although as beautiful as these paints are, maybe I'll have to go to a psychiatrist, say, okay, make me more patient. I don't know if it works that way, but we shall see. It's funny too, because when I first started painting many years ago, I intentionally stayed away from oils because of how long it took to dry. So I even knew 25 years ago I didn't have the patience. When I found the Griffin Alkids, oh, I fell in love. Because I always loved the way oil paints looked. And that's what I wanted my art to look like. But it just would take so damn long. I just drive me nuts. And now, with the Griffin Alkids, and it's 24 to 36 hours, even with the thickness that I use, it's like, okay, I can deal with that. That's just perfect for me. So, as beautiful as these paints are, I may have to change my attitude. Okay, now, normally, I would push this in more, blend it in more, tap it in more to get the yellow out. Not today. I'm going to leave the yellow as the accents. What I've got here now is I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 different values in there. And the more values you have to a degree, the better off you are. So I've got a bunch of different stuff that's not a lot of different tube colors, okay? We're talking Payne's Gray, Phthalo Green, and Cad Yellow Light Hue. So we're talking about 3 colors and 6 or 7 different values and shades and everything else. So it's a consistent, nice, consistent thing in our art. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the Cad Yellow with the green mixture as well as the raw sienna. And I'm going to, look at, I got the overhand grip. And I'm just going to put this on like a base, and I'm gonna up in some areas, down in some areas, into the water, away from the water. I just want it to be close to realist as I can without being photorealistic. I don't like photorealism for my style. And then I'll take my 1.5 inch brush and get stuff out of the water, blend it in and make it look good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Cad Red in here. When I do the flowers here, I'll put some in here to kind of get the painting, that nice little color cohesion. Ooh, listen to me, color cohesion. Sounds like a song. Okay, so. Right up to the edge, so it goes in the water. It looks good. Now, unless you're here, maybe when I edit the video and it crops in a little bit, you might be able to see it. But one of the things I want you to understand that I'm doing here is whenever you go to the forest reserves, a lake, wherever, you're always going to see right on the shoreline part of what's on the land and the water. And that's what I got here. Okay, there's little pieces of green and Payne's Gray and stuff like that in here, just like you would see in real life. I doubt you can see it on the video itself, but that's the way it is in there. Okay, so now I am going to take my palette knife, okay, and I'll put in some water lines. I don't want this to be a real fast-moving body of water, so I'm just going to try and be subtle here. I know I don't normally do subtle well, but I'm going to give it a try. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it. I've got something in my head telling me today, less is more. And one of the things I've learned from years of painting, when that little voice starts saying less is more, leave it alone and listen. Keep it simple. Ran out of paper towels, so let me get some more here. The other thing I got to do is clean up one little area. I got a little too thick with the white of the water line. Get my little palette knife. Just try to. There we go. There we go. Now it's faint. Okay. Damn. Now go back into my phthalo green and Payne's gray. What I'm trying to do is get a lot of unevenness into this. I don't want them all to be the same. I like to have a nice variation. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take my, oh, wrong one. Cheap Hobby Lobby, frayed when I bought it. Flowers brush, basically what I call it. And put this on nice and thick. Love thick textured flowers everywhere. I don't want to do like flower portraits, but I love putting flowers in landscapes. And I love looking at them. When my wife and I go to the Arboretum in the spring and summer, fall colors too, just love watching those flowers. Take a bunch of pictures and just, they're all over the place, but yet they blend together perfectly. Absolutely love it. Okay, now, like I said before, I'm going to put a little bit up here. Wherever you put it, in one place, you put it somewhere else in the painting. And don't have to be as thick because it is a little further off in the distance, but you want a little bit to kind of give you that color cohesion, our new phrase, our new pet phrase. Okay. So, now we are going to take our big brush and we're going to go right into our yellow. We're going to put this on the shoreline first, and then inside we're going to put all kinds of stuff. One of the things I learned too in painting landscapes is I like my colors to be everywhere in the foreground. I don't like it to be just one thing. I want it thick some places, thin some places. I want it a little of everything. And that, I really think, gives it, again, I keep talking realism, and that's what I like to paint, but I don't like photorealism for my style, okay? I like my paintings to be realistic, but not like a photograph, okay? There's some people that can paint like that, and I give them all the credit in the world because I don't have that. I'm not wired that way. So this is, I like to be like semi-realist or semi-abstract. I don't even know what the hell it is. I don't even know if I'm categorized. But I like to have it to where it just have its own little movement, its own little texture, its own little whatever. A little bit of red in there because we got a lot of red on the flowers. Okay, now gotta clean the brush. And I gotta squirt out just a little bit more of the yellow so I can make those flowers in some areas, not the whole thing, orange. And then I'm gonna make in here a little bit of orange in places. I might even use a knife to smooth out a few areas and then keep a few areas rough. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so. See, I'm not hitting every part of the red. There we go. Now I'm going to put this in here. Yeah, I was going to go knife, and now I'm just going to go dabbing like flowers. One of the beauties of being a creative is you create as you go. And you make determinations as you go. I was fully content with using a knife and doing some other stuff, and now I decided I'm just going to put flowers everywhere. There we go. Now, I am going to use the knife in a couple places. Not all that happy with that foreground yet, but I'm going to get there. Okay, so. There we go. I'm not going to cover up all of the texture. Okay, texture is good. I love texture. Want a little bit lines. Okay, now I'm going to take the big knife. You've seen me do this before. Step back. Okay, I think we have a completed painting, my friends. Okay, so other than drying time, which is still an unknown, this is my favorite oil paint to paint with. I'm gonna just be flat out with you. I've been using these now for 45 minutes and 50 seconds, and I love the colors, I love the blending, I love the creaminess, I love everything about these things. So, I'm just gonna do one more thing here. And I'm just fiddling around. I'm gonna put some phthalo blue in. Got a little bit of extra in my palette. I'm gonna add some blue. I love these colors. I don't want to stop painting. This painting is pretty much done, but I love them. If the drying time is anything reasonable, I just found a new paint. So I forget who the subscriber was that left me the comment to try out the water mixables again. But thank you. There we go. That is some rich, deep, luscious color, and I love it. Okay, my friends, that's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Next Sunday, we're going to do another one, and that's going to be, I think I have a 16 by 20 piece of ampersand gesso board that I haven't used. So we will try it on the gesso board now. This was a stretched cotton canvas, and we'll see how it goes. I'm guessing it's going to go even better than it did on this one. I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend, a great work week, and be safe. And I'll see you next week.